Well, a lot of times people like to show their screenshots. Hey, look what I'm doing. But it doesn't matter what's on that top line number. It matters what comes down at the bottom line number, because otherwise you might not be in business much longer. So to talk about how you can get through the good times and the tears and everything in between, I'm super excited to bring on eight-figure seller Charles Chicalo, like Chicago, but
That's the
Chicalo.
one.
That's the one. So, Charles, thank you for joining us here in the PPC Mastery Summit to share your knowledge.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I was always an outspoken seller, but I never thought I'd be actually speaking to others in such a public environment. So
Well,
it's
I'm
it's a
excited you said yes. So you and I first met at I put on an event called Brand Accelerator Live, which was an in-person event with a gentleman named Scott Volker, who some people might know his name. Um, but you and I believe that was where you and I first met,
that's
and
right.
we've stayed in contact ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And and that was my first conference at 2019. That was the first
that was your
time I ever went
first.
out to meet others and hear what others had to say about
Oh wow,
anything.
you were 9 years into it. So, folks, if you are less than 9 years into this and you've not been to an in-person event, don't follow Charles's advice on that
But
point.
but I will say in 2010 I was a freshman in high school. So
Oh, you were? Okay, got it, got it. Okay,
right.
fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
Some people may have more leeway than they think. Let's
Right. Okay. So as a freshman in high school, my daughter, who's a freshman in high school,
All right,
I
there we
would
go.
not want her attending conferences by herself. So fair enough. Fair
All
enough.
righty.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Well, I'll let you get into it.
Yeah. So first off, again, hello guys. And by the way, that eight-figure thing, it's eight-ish. The reason why I say ish is because last year was probably one of the second to worst years of business we've had. Uh, Forced us to make pretty rash and hard decisions.
Hmm.
We decided to do more of something that I'll get into a little later, more of what worked. We broke seven figures around 2020, and we were never able to break that glass ceiling of eight figures. It's something that I wanted to do for over 3 years. Obviously, since we broke seven, I wanted eight. And given the last quarter we have, we're on track to do eight. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, everybody has a pathway, and this is just proof of it. Even in the bad times, you could turn that ship around. It just takes that much more pulling up by the bootstraps, and that's and it could be better. And it always can be. It's just a matter of when you stop pushing.
Yeah.
So a little bit about me. I've been on selling on Amazon since 2010 when we discovered I was a freshman in high school, and you can head down to that site down low, and you'll find out my entire story. Um,
Which I'll have a link to down below as well.
Definitely. Um, we also and scaled to on track for eight figures this year. It's a family business. I'm partners with my brothers. It's sort of an offshoot of what my dad started around 40 years ago.
Oh,
He
wow.
came to this country starting brick and mortar retail stores in the home goods space. And family businesses have a dynamic of their own pluses, minuses. I happen to like the pluses a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what my intention is right now is to give you how I run my business. And the best part of it is most of the stuff is free. And all of these tips are pointers where you can adopt today and run your business in a much more efficient way. Keep more of whatever goes into other people's pockets, banking fees, surcharges to yourself. I love learning from a variety of people. And as an example of that, you'll be able to see my networking strategy, the conferences I attend, what I do at conferences. So I'm out there consuming as much information as possible, and it gets overwhelming. But what I'm going to give you is the cream of the crop right now, at least as I'm using it in business. Feel free to reach out with any clarifications. So without further ado, I have two banks that I work with. I have Ramp and I have Chase. Assuming most of you have around $250,000 in business assets, doesn't have to be in the bank, business assets, you would qualify for a Chase private client relationship. What that would do is number one, give you the convenience of a Chase branch anywhere USA or even internationally.
And that's
Number two,
$250,000 in business assets or total assets?
in business assets.
Business assets. Okay.
Total. I want to say it's 50,000 in business or 250 in personal.
Okay.
Check me
But
on it.
it's worth looking into.
It's worth looking into. It's sorry, I've done that 100 years ago. I should have clarified that for this. But
No, no,
anyway,
no. This is a good tip.
what it gives you: 5 free domestic wires, 5 free international wires per month per signer on the account. So if you have business partners, they get 5 free as well.
Hmm.
And it also gives you free currency conversion. So if you're accepting CAD, euro, or peso, or something else that, again, Amazon does pay you out in, you actually get the market rate, what we would consider in the US prime rate.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I believe it's the smallest fee you'll ever find for exchanges. It's the nearest market rate you'll get. For Ramp, what you do is you get 4% APY on your money. Now, other banks offer you 4% APY, but they offer you unlimited same day ACHs, unlimited international wires, and domestic wires, all for free. Everybody
Hmm.
has suppliers they have to pay. Other banks and aggressive banks charge you a $20 Swift fee. Swift charges $20 a wire. For some reason, for some way, Ramp waives that for us, and I'm not asking questions. So
Right. They can figure out the economics of that on the back end themselves.
that's it. So as far as banking, both of those options completely free. And I mean, it's good to have the institutional backing of a brick and mortar bank like Chase.
Hmm.
But for let's say my accounts payable, I have no problem using Ramp. I'll get my 4% on my money and my free wires. I'll
Hmm.
take it any day. Third point, credit cards. Some people swear by the game of credit card points, leveraging that to your advantage. I don't I do that to a degree, but I don't obsess over it. People have spreadsheets. I know one person literally with 100 credit cards,
Oh my gosh.
and they manage it in a spreadsheet. I know that's, and imagine if one goes wrong, what'll happen to the rest of them? The chain reaction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they take that credit card game that seriously. They view opening a credit card as a return on investment. If you want to, and you have the patience, brain power, know how, God bless you, do it.
Hmm.
What I do, I like a happy medium in between getting 4x cash back on my Amex Gold business card for Amazon PPC, which
Hmm.
is a valid thing, and and using my 2.5 or 2% cash back for everything else. Sure, there
Mm.
are credit cards that offer better cash back for other categories. I'd rather not worry about it. I'd rather just factor into my head, I'm paying this much minus 2 or 2.5% and call it a day. If I can optimize certain other categories, I will. But these are the two cards that I use. Again, you can hit that link down below, and I'll send you a link directly to those cards. It it's a very easy sign up, and they've given us sign up bonuses. So why not embellish on those too?
Yeah.
Another facet of my business, again, assuming mostly Amazon sellers here, uh, we don't farm out to 3PLs. We handle operations in house. So in the beginning, it was a drawback so much that we had to handle the logistics ourselves. We are a bootstrapped business,
Hmm.
and whatever we put into this business was from us and us alone. Working those summer jobs, working the. I used to be a litigation paralegal, so I mean that factored into the
Oh
business in a
wow.
different way. I as a young 18-year-old, I withdrew from my Roth IRA to fund this business.
You even had a Roth IRA at 18 years old. That's pretty impressive
Kevin,
enough as it
Kevin,
is.
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. And I always was. so so obviously our logistics were impaired in the beginning, but
But
now we run our own operation. There's no sending message to 3PLs saying, "Hey, where's my shipment? Hey, did the truck come today to ship our my replenishment order to FBA?" We take our operations in house. The downside to that, in addition to the beginning stages where we had to fund the whole thing,
Mhm.
is we actually take care of the human resources. We take care of the hiring, the firing, the opening of the warehouse. Is somebody there on time today? Did somebody come late? If a
Mhm.
fight broke out between employees,
Oh, geez.
anything. Yeah. So all of that. we have to worry about on top of just the day-to-day of running our e-commerce business. Um, Another asset or another facet to the being in owning your operations is that if you're owning your real estate, you're owning your machinery, you're owning your supply chain in a way. That's an appreciating asset in most cases. Warehouse space, at least in the Northeast, is near gold at this point. So I'm sure warehouse space anywhere USA is appreciating. That could be an asset of its own, and it's another plus in how you want to operate. This is where I was yesterday. And Kevin, let me know if the sound comes through.
I did hear the sound. Yeah.
Good, good. So this is literally what I had to step away from my desk yesterday. And I was late to a Zoom because I was sending out a shipment to FBA.
Wait, this is footage from your actual warehouse?
I'm on the forklift, Kevin.
Oh, you're the forklift driver. Okay, wow. So you were living this.
That's it.
That's a lot of stuff getting out, and you got a lot of other stuff in the background too.
Kevin, a full trailer is 26 pallets. This is 24. And look, a nice one had
Wow,
and that's that.
nice.
So I'm the forklift operator at the moment. And we get those trucks in, we ship it out, and guess what? I know exactly when my merchandise gets on the truck and ships out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference between operating by a 3PL and owning your own operations. I did have to step away from my desk. I was late to a Zoom, but I
It
I know where
happens.
my stuff are.
There you go.
Yeah. And the way don't get me wrong, not everything is manual. I automate as much as possible. These are the providers that I use to automate that. I use Homebase for scheduling, syncs directly to Gusto. Gusto is who I use for payroll. Gusto is also who I use for payroll compliance, meaning most of us have overseas virtual assistants. They actually have to fill out something called a W-8 that the IRS needs you to have on file because you're paying somebody and you're not withholding Social Security, Medicare, and so on. So I didn't know that. Gusto knew
Hmm.
that.
That's an interesting tip that I'm sure a lot of people were
Right.
unaware of.
It's not like you could just send them the money and forget about it.
Yeah.
Gusto knew that. Gusto asked my VA for that form without me even knowing, frankly, and I was happy they did.
Yeah.
So, and they actually take care of international payments also without a surcharge. They charge me for paying my virtual assistant the same price as they would charge me for paying a domestic worker. Same thing.
Hmm.
Homebase. So every week, Homebase syncs directly to Gusto with the hourly wages of the people who work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Gusto takes care of the payroll. Gusto offers zero premium insurance from the employer side. If the employee would like health insurance, they can opt into it. Doesn't cost me anything. Gusto also offers the employees early payouts so that if they want to walk away with part of their paycheck early, Gusto sends them the money, costs nothing to me. I don't have to even pay Gusto early so that the employees get paid early. Uh, Great software, best price. If anyone has one better, I'm all ears, but I doubt you'll find it. And lastly, for my VA, I use Hubstaff. Hubstaff, when people take a VA on, they usually their chief worry is they're going to bill you without actually doing the work. Say they'll tell you they worked 8 hours a day, but you have no check on that. You have two approaches to that. Number one is as long as they're doing the jobs you're assigning to them, you can just look the other way. And I know plenty of people who do that, plenty of successful people too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not that confident or
Right.
trusting. So I have Hubstaff, which is a
Confident is
project,
probably the nicer word there.
whatever it is. It's it's something that controls product management and takes random screenshots of the virtual assistant's computer while they're on shift. So
Hmm.
you can control for that a little bit. And listen, any tech savvy VA could get around that. They can only install it on one out of the two monitors they have on their computer. But it's something. So
Does this go down the rabbit hole of having what's the word I'm looking for? Like checking for like weird mouse
Yes. Yes,
movements
it
that has
does.
like an algorithm for like mouse clickers.
Yeah. It tells you if they've installed something like that,
Mm.
and yeah. Well, it's funny. It gives you like a percentile of activity on their screen, how much their mouse was moving and how much their keyboard was moving at
Hmm.
certain minutes. So if they detect something above like 90 to 100, they know like red flag. Hey, he was active 100% of this time
Yeah.
window. That's
Nobody is
crazy.
constantly moving their
Right.
arm all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've gotten some of those red flags, and I took care of it. I took care of it.
That's funny.
Yeah. So shifting gears, as people and sellers, we live in an attention economy.
Hmm.
Uh, these are probably the three most frequent calls you'll hear of leaders in the space, experts, whatever you want to call them.
Hmm.
Join my newsletter, watch my talk, join my hyperactive exclusive course community for a really low price or three small payments of insert your price here. You have to be really careful with them. People have reputations out there, and people have something they want to sell you in the end of the day. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm a seller, and I'm just sharing with you certain tips and tricks of what works for me. When people say join my newsletter, they want your email address for direct contact with you. When people say watch my talk, they want you to speak highly of them so that they get more talks to solicit more of their services. When people say join my hyperactive exclusive community, they obviously want your money. Depending on their reputation, they may only want that and not actually want to help you for whatever they're soliciting. So be very careful with those words. I have my own email funnel. I have my own newsletter. It's not something that I'm looking to sell people on. It's something that I'm simply looking to disseminate information with. There's nothing wrong with it. You should just a piece of advice, be highly suspect of these people. If these people don't have a reputation, be very wary on trusting them. Where you see this the most is on LinkedIn. I'm
Mm.
very active on LinkedIn. I enjoy LinkedIn activity greatly. I wish the largest reach I possibly can get, but be very suspect. I like to think I have somewhat of a reputation. I know others definitely have a reputation. Everybody else on this mastery summit has a reputation. I looked at that graphic, Kevin. I
Uh-huh.
said I'm honored to be part of these lines of people. Anybody
You
from
definitely earned your
Liz.
spot.
Thank you. From Liz, you, Steve, John Espinal. It was just wow. I got a spot on there. But a piece of advice for you sellers, any at any point, beginning or expert, be highly suspect of these calls to action. Not to say they don't have value to offer, but just keep your eyes a little peeled, especially when they don't have a reputation that they've proven themselves with.
That's a good point because having been in the world not quite as long as you, but almost 10 years in
All
this
right.
space, a lot of people come and go who
Yeah.
are, big gurus. Sometimes all of a sudden there'll be a person who just comes in quickly and all of a sudden like they're the talk of everybody. And then like a year or two later, like where'd they go?
Right.
So it's like always be careful and always know everyone has an angle. I have an angle. I have these summits that I'm trying to sell people. I try
Hmm.
to provide value with them, but at the same
Right.
time too, I have an angle. Everyone has an angle, and you know, my kids have an angle when I take them to the store and they want, a certain cereal or I want, cookies or whatever. Everybody has an angle, but just understand the angle that others are coming from, and no one is 100% altruistic.
That's it. That's it. And not to say I am either. I mean, I'm trying to provide value, and in the end of the day, my time is going to have to be worth something. I'll
Sure.
be more than willing to give you my time as a friend, as his
Yeah.
fellow seller. But I mean, once it passes a certain point, it's time away from my business.
Right.
So there's that point. There's that point going on for people who are providing value as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and again, everyone has, and this isn't to say anything bad about people,
Yeah,
who are, like you said, many of them are on this stage, but always understand where people are coming from. Like, oh, this person has an agency, or this person has a course, or this person has
sure.
whatever. Everyone does, or they whatever the case is.
But you have to stay informed. Things going on in current events that
This is a,
you know,
this is a good
business
relevant
should
one.
never be a part of politics, but you should be aware of the politics going on because the
Uh-huh.
politics directly affects business. It
Yep.
sounds weird. In my opinion, business and politics should never mix, but politics directly affects business. I'm not just talking about tariffs.
Hmm. Where was this?
Ron Shah, he runs Obvi. He's one of the biggest D2C influencers out there. And he posted this, I think at this point is 3 weeks ago.
Hmm.
And he didn't say what website it was on. This was the week of the tariff announcements, the Liberation Day that Trump made.
Hmm.
Already they put in a tariff surcharge. This picture went viral. Some people, again, so to show you how different people have different angles, people posted this picture without attribution. Ron was the guy who first disseminated the picture. And because people were keeping the sources to themselves and didn't want you to have direct access to people like Ron,
Hmm.
were not publishing where they took this screenshot from.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I followed Ron, so I knew where it came from.
Hmm.
And just a simple example of tariffs and why you have to stay up to date. First, I'm going to hit tariffs, then I'll hit other developments that are happening. So, it's important to know what the effective tariff rate is on your product or any product for that matter.
Hmm.
And then there's this that broke this week where Amazon Haul was going to put tariff surcharges, or they were going to separate tariff surcharges from as a line item when you were checking out, to show the increased cost of a product because of the tariffs. It's said that Trump actually got Bezos on the phone to get rid of that because that'll antagonize the Trump administration and their tariff warfare. It's again very important to know what's going on politically in your
Yeah,
business.
regardless of who you voted for or if you don't vote at
Yeah,
all or you're in a different country.
yeah. And not to mention, actually, this morning, somebody reached out to me that they were making a conference in Europe because they just had enough of the American tariff talk and struggles of the American business.
Hmm.
It was a funny twist on things. Um, Not just that, I thought I put this in here. Okay, a couple of different things that the reason why you should stay informed. Things like the Inform Act that forced every Amazon seller account to have a valid ID on file.
Hmm.
Things like the FinCEN reporting requirements that were suspended by the Trump administration until December 31st of last year, actually into February and March. You actually had to put on file the beneficiaries of your business who has controlling interest and equity in your business. The That was by, maybe I want to say Department of Commerce or Homeland Security, one of them, where you had to you had to submit a BOI report. That affected all businesses that were established after 2024, January 1st, 2024. And then there was a different time window for prior businesses, but that was
Hmm.
thrown out. Again, you just have to keep up to date on what's going on in the news. Not, crazy political junkie, but you have to keep a good pulse on things, especially when they affect your business. This is my way of doing it. There are primary sources. There are Amazon reports themselves where they say, hey guys, product inserts are now allowed to have X. When you find that on Amazon.com is very different when you find that on so and so's newsletter.
Mm.
When it's on so and so's newsletter, again, even if they have a reputation, if they don't have a reputation, you're definitely suspect. But even when they do have a reputation, you want to check the source of why they're saying that.
Right. Do they have they're trying to sell you a funnel on the back end that you can use for, put a QR code on a
Right.
thing. And not to say that that's gray. That's bad or not, but like understand where they're coming from oftentimes.
And listen, and okay, there was a tip that I'm thinking of. I got in a newsletter 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to mention the newsletter. Plenty of people will know the reference anyway. somebody cited that if your website has buy with Prime on it and you're priced higher on your website than you are on Amazon, Amazon will not suppress your listing. I have yet to find a primary source for that piece of information.
Mm,
But the person is highly respected in the field and the person has pretty deep connections into Amazon. I have no verification of that. I'm not doing that. I don't know what to believe, but as of
right.
now, it's as if it might be true.
Wait, the price is higher on your website or higher on Amazon?
The person was saying if the price is higher on your website that has buy with Prime and Amazon is priced, sorry, if the price is lower on your website that
Right.
has buy with Prime and higher on Amazon, they won't suppress your listing. I got that mixed up.
Got it. Because you have buy with Prime and they can make their money there. Whereas
Yeah.
if it was just on your website, okay, that makes sense of
Yeah.
the logic Amazon might have with that.
Right.
Because they
Right.
don't
Now,
want they ultimately they'd like to be the lowest price for everything, but that's not
ultimately,
always the case.
now, if that's true, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, and cross verify it too. I mean, you can ask different people within your seller community.
Hmm.
There are plenty here. I think Mag has their own.
Hmm.
LinkedIn, there are plenty of other Amazon thinkers and sellers. You just have to get into that algorithm. You'll have access to plenty of people. Just be critical. Think
Yeah.
about where you're getting the information from and how to cross check it. Protect your attention. Everybody and their mother has a newsletter. Come up with a way to separate the value driven newsletters from the non value driven. The best way is take the value driven newsletters, shoot it straight to your main inbox. Then make an alias, either a Google group or an app that I love called Miko, MECO. You'll find that again at the link below. And they have a really cool reader app kind of interface where both on web and on your phone, it collects all your newsletters through a specific email address, and you can just go through them once you're ready if you want to just inform yourself. Built in, it has a feature where it uses AI to make a podcast of all of your unread newsletters.
That's funny.
Yeah, you can do the same manually using things like Notebook LM,
Hmm.
but when you know just you're never going to get to read hundreds and hundreds of emails, you could just throw them into AI and have them debrief you that way. Um, Filter your noise away from your value. The noise is all the extras, low value kind of stuff. So I guard my inbox like it's my wallet. It's my only thing that is limited in my life. It's my attention and time. So if a newsletter stops giving you value, make sure you either unsubscribe or move it to the low value kind of inbox.
Hmm.
And I have my recommendations of which newsletters in the Amazon space or e-commerce space in particular are worthy, at least to me. And I have those that are worthy to put in your, sort of plan B inbox. Also at the link below. Something I love. I love networking. I love people. I love meeting people because meeting people means more interaction, means more attention, means more angles, more perspectives on things that are going on around me, not just in business, but in life. So I'm not saying you should stop business at every point to go to every conference out there.
Right.
I'm at plenty of conferences. I'm in the Northeast. So plenty happens in New York, in DC, in Boston. But you saw I have a warehouse to run. I'm the
Hmm.
guy on the floor. I'm the guy on the
You're
forklift.
literally driving the forklift.
Right. Without me, there's no driver, and and nothing's happening. But I go to my fair share of conferences. Thankfully, I have brothers and partners. But you have to make sure that time, and it's not cheap to go out to a conference either. You have the conference ticket itself, flight and hotel. So
And
you have to make
overpriced
sure.
meals, most likely.
And yeah, unless you're savvy enough to get sponsors for them.
There you go.
But but it's a significant investment. What you are guaranteed is if you're there to learn, you will get a fire hose of information. What you'll also may be getting, and it's unfortunately the case, is a money hungry conference organizer that's only interested in taking your money, not delivering value. I've been to too many conferences that are interested in taking sellers' money, having them convinced that Just being together in a place where everybody knows where an ASIN is a valuable experience. It's not. A place where presenters are driven to give you value, like Kevin King incentivizes presenters to give value in his presentations to get something like 10 grand. That's incentivizing speakers to deliver value. It's There are conferences that certain incentives are given and speakers work tirelessly to deliver value.
Hmm.
And I've been to a fair share of them, and I critique them. I critique them plenty. My favorite conference is Seller Summit, and that's something that I just would never miss.
Great one we were talking about before we hit
Yeah,
record.
before we hit that record button, it's a small conference, focused conference, half e-commerce, half Amazon. Um, I love it. I love it. And Steve and Tony are friends. I've been friends with them for years at this point. And
Steve
I
Chu
know
and
that,
Tony Erbach. Shout out to them.
yeah, that's the epitome of delivering value because it's
Hmm.
not just a huge conference. It's not expensive, especially when comparing it to the others. Um, and you get your money's worth. But network, and the more time you put into it, the more returns you will see. Small example, Kevin touched on it. I met him in 2019. I am here now 6 years later. It took
Right.
time for that investment
Who would have
to
thought?
flourish, but I'm here. You know,
Eventually got around to inviting you,
right?
which
No,
was
no,
on me.
listen. No, you had a stint where you came to Payability's office in New York City,
Oh, that's right.
and
We met there.
I made sure, hey, remember me from that conference, and then we just kept on staying in touch, and then I had a stint at Mag, and then keep on going.
Yeah,
Uh,
and you and I met at a couple of times at Pow
at
Amazon
at
Powwow
Seller Summit,
and Seller Summit.
yeah, yeah,
Multiple. So yeah, so you build these relationships if they're not just a one-time thing, but you remember people that, even if you haven't talked to them in 2 years, like go up and say
right,
hi. Like,
yeah.
hey, remember we met at, whatever conference.
It's and it doesn't have to always be a sales talk. It could just be a business talk. Hey, this is
Right.
what I'm experiencing.
Or it could be, hey, did you like the chicken at lunch today?
That too. That
Yeah.
too. I mean, the best piece of advice I got at conferences was actually like a month ago. It was if you're sitting next to somebody who's not an agency owner or affiliated with an agency, just ask them, what's the best thing you learned at this conference? It gives for a fruitful conversation.
Uh-huh. Nice.
This is just a few of the conferences I went to. Anything from
Oh wow.
something local to New York City, AMZ Innovate, to Accelerate, Let's Grow, the Inspired Home Show in Chicago. Yeah, I mean, I've been to plenty, and this is just a partial list. So if you have any
Brain
questions about any
accelerator lab.
shows in particular, I'm more than happy to advise.
Nice.
Yeah. I put together some YouTube videos about particular conferences, what I liked and disliked. I tend to take it easy on the ones that I dislike because I'm not really in the business of.
No sense burning a bridge.
No, yeah, no sense of burning a bridge, but if you do reach out to me, I'll be very very honest with you.
Yep.
But in doing so publicly, it's just something that doesn't strike me the right way.
Right.
Sales pitches are just part of the game, and when you get to any show, people are going to try to sell you. Agencies are people too. They need you, just like you need somebody to click on the add to cart button. They need you to sign on. Doesn't mean you have to. Just means you could say hello, or you could say, I'll see you at the next conference. I'm not looking for anything right now. Just build those relationships. Just remember their name. Just remember what they
Well,
sell.
and there might be something specific that a particular agency has expertise in that you just want to send them an email with a question.
Right.
And, if you're hiding from them because you're worried they might try to sell you something, which
Yeah.
again, like you said, like we're literally called sellers here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that, if you at least just have the relationship, you know, it doesn't have to be like, hey, let's get on a sales call. It could be the relationship is just based on just know each other. And
It was
people are
like,
more likely to help out the people they know and trust and like.
I can't believe it was over a month ago now where the FBA reimbursement policy changed. It's like, all right, well, I'm not looking for a different FBA reimbursement agency, but if you had a question about submitting an invoice that something was valued at something that Amazon disagreed with, you're going to want a contact that can answer that question.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
simple example. I mean, um, you can just build those relationships too. It doesn't mean you have to give them money. You can just build those relationships.
Hmm.
Diversify business models. Most conferences are around private label and building
Hmm.
your own brand. It doesn't mean that that's what you have to do, and not only what you have to do. Where a lot of the industry is. Retail arbitrage is not dead.
Mm.
It's a lot more dangerous. It's not dead. If you have a letter of authorization from a brand to sell, sell, guys. You don't have to think like the rest of the presenters are telling you to.
Hmm.
Think you can think outside of the box that way. If you see a brand that has a very little online presence, you can pursue that relationship, get some authorization. Nobody can touch you. Amazon has a letter of authorization on file that you're going to provide to them, and happy selling. You get your commissions.
Hmm.
The brand's going to be happy for the increased sales. They weren't going to be online anyway. Avoid the industry dogma. That's how I worded it. Private label, listen, that's the most secure line you have to your future. But it doesn't mean that you should limit yourself to that piece of advice.
Yeah, that's a good point about the industry dogma. I purposefully try to have people who say things that are counter to what a lot of other people say, and
I
that
tend
might
to do
piss
that a bit.
people off sometimes,
Yeah.
but or it might confuse others.
Yeah.
But test different things out. Don't feel like you have to do everything or follow this particular sacred cow, but just test other little things, out.
Almost everybody in the conferences I've been to was talking about private label. There's one conference that comes to mind that's about resale. And listen, if you see something on sale at a ShopRite or BJ's,
Mhm.
what I mean, there's literally nothing in U.S. code that prevents you from buying it legitimately and reselling
Mhm.
it. It's a normal item. Then it gets into different territory when you want to buy it in bulk. It gets into different territory when you want to go directly from the brand to selling it. So that's again, I honestly believe in it. It's something that I'm invested in.
Mm.
So that's really what it came down to. I'm very bought into the private label idea, but there are other angles that just don't get the attention that, in my opinion, it deserves.
Mhm.
It's it's something that you should question. Not just go with the tide. Just swim against it a little bit. Do more of what works. For me, what worked was a little bit of RA resale, and if my numbers were telling me a story, I followed it. So if I'm seeing more profit coming in from one field, I'm not going to invest money into the less profitable field because that's just what the gurus are saying.
Mm.
I'm just going to follow the numbers, and that's where I'll invest my attention. So that's a very easy business rule wherever you are. Just do more of what works. Approaching the end here. The way you build a real business foundation as a business owner and operator is by keeping in mind tax law and business structure and the UCC. It's actually not the Uniform Civil Code, it's Uniform Commercial Code. That's a uniform way of business law throughout the United States. It's keeping in mind uniform business law throughout the United States, tax structure and tax advantages all year long. We're recording this at the first day of May.
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, April 15 was the tax filing deadline. Too many sellers that I speak to only think about taxes in April. It's important to think about that year round. Just a tip.
Mm.
Oh, that was a misplaced slide. That was supposed to be by the stay informed. But so a thing that I just remembered, you also have to stay informed on government scrutiny on people like Google and Amazon, where Amazon is restructuring both of those companies, or sorry, the government is structuring both of those companies that could greatly affect Google Chrome, SEO, and Amazon leveraging third-party sellers like ourselves. Something to keep in mind. I'm not going to go into more detail. It's ongoing litigation. Something that you guys should keep an eye on.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Also, managing capital. One of the best pieces of advice, actually, I got it from Ron Shaw from Obvi, is make sure you think about the bad times during the good times. If you're in a great financial position, you had a fantastic year, apply for a line of credit. You never know when you'll need it. It'll cost you a few hundred, maybe even thousands to keep operational. But when you need it, it'll be there for you. When business takes a downturn, it doesn't give you a heads up most of the time. So when you have good finances, use that to cushion yourself for bad times. Business was at one point, business was pretty bad in the sense that we didn't have access to liquid. We were profitable, but the difference between inventory and liquid assets was not in sync with what our business needed. In comes the line of credit. Without the line of credit, I don't know what kind of other financing options we would have had to resort to.
Mm,
And that was by mistake. It's not like I knew to prepare for the bad times during the good ones.
right.
That was a and that's why I have a slinky there because the slinky was invented by mistake for like doing that for falling down the steps. So that was my little trick. Um, and the way you build a safe financial plan is you think about the different tools like I started out with. You have the Chase Private Client giving you the industry backing of Chase Bank, and then you have Ramp giving you the APY and the fee-free banking that I love, and I'm sure you guys will too. Final advice: just follow that. I'm not even going to read it. It's something that all of us Amazon sellers have to do. We have to be adaptable, and we have to mold to the situation that Amazon provides for us.
Hmm.
Not to say you have to stay on Amazon, but just stay adaptable. Stay adaptable. Stay agile, and just be the most up to date as you can as a seller. Information is power, and stay informed. Feel free to follow me at the link below.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll have a link down below this video, or you can just type that in. But appreciate you putting this together because there's a lot of good nuggets there of wisdom, and you and I have gotten to know each other for quite a bit. And I love you said, careful with people that don't have a reputation because I've
That's
seen that quite a
such a
bit where
strong
people
belief.
come in quickly, develop a following, and then they're gone in like a year or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's when the whole tariff thing was happening, exactly a month ago at this point, I said to myself, who is the person with the best reputation that I can bring on and host a webinar with? And
Hmm.
to me, it was Pam Kale from RPC Logistics. We put
Oh yeah,
together a
yeah.
webinar, and we spoke into the trenches of what's going on with these tariffs, how to deal with containers that are on the water, and so on. Um, and then two other people ran a webinar with other freight forwarders who were not as well informed. Did I learn something that I didn't cover with Pam? I did, but like you see, if somebody only attended one of those webinars, they would have only gotten a third of the sandwich.
Hmm.
If they wanted the full picture, they should have attended all three.
Right.
Obviously, time is limited, resources are
Right.
limited, attention is limited. Within reason, within reason. As long as these people have a reputation, and I will say the other people's reputations were not as high standard, but you should know about your information diet, and information is power. I can't say that enough.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you again for putting this together. And folks, make sure to follow Charles at the link down below.
Thanks, guys.